second video regarding George Orwell is focused on his biography, which is extremely important to understand how his writing also developed. First thing we must say is that he was born in India, and where he spent his first childhood. Afterwards, though, in order to complete his studies, as it was customary for the colonial officials' children of the time, he was sent to Britain to complete his studies first at a prep school, and then he attended Eton. Here he stayed for quite a short time, though, because he did not feel quite at ease in this type of institution. Mainly because of the strict discipline that was implemented in colleges such as this, which is one of the most prestigious still today of the educating institutions of the UK. He was against the humiliating punishments that were dispensed to students, and he also did not like the lack of privacy of these schools. He also felt that they adopted a sort of indoctrination to develop in students that attended these institutions a strong character and a strong sense of belonging to the upper middle class. He left in 1922 before completing his studies, declaring publicly that he was a socialist and an atheist. After this, until 1927, he served in the Indian Imperial Police, and yet leaving the court, declaring publicly as well that because he was a free spirit, he was against any form of supremacy of man over man. From then on, his future life choices reflect his strong political standpoints. He was on the side of outcasts, and he experimented firsthand the hardships that this portion of society was forced to go through. While in London, he lived in hostels. He also went to live in lodging houses that were provided by the English government for the unemployed and the poor, and he wanted to test the actual efficiency of the healthcare that was reserved to this portion of society. He then spent some time in Paris, where there too he experienced firsthand the hardships of the outcasts of societies by working as a dishwasher in hotels and restaurants. And all these experiences were collected as journalistic reports in a book called Down and Out in Paris and London, which came out in 1933. It is at this point that Eric Blair is his original name, his true name, became George Orwell, which is the name that he chose to write. He chose this name to state, well, because he wanted a genuinely English name to sign his journalistic reports. Again, in 1936, a publisher who advocated socialist standpoints asked him to investigate and write about the living and the working conditions of miners of the North and of factory workers of that area, as well as the unemployed. This collection of journalistic reports were published in 1937 under the title of The Road to Wiggin Pier. This is to say how George Orwell was not only artistically concerned with the living conditions of this portion of society, but he was genuinely interested in understanding the way these people lived and how society in general treated them on the whole. At the break of the Spanish Civil War, he went to Spain to investigate the situation of the war at the time. And here too, the collection of journalistic writings were published in a homage to Catalonia, which came out in 1938. It was also during the break of World War II that first he spent some time working for a BBC program on cultural development of the Indians, and later on he started working for the Tribune, which was again a socialist weekly, and in both cases he proved to be an authoritative observer of his time and its devastating world events. It is during this last period, starting in 1943, therefore, when he began working for the Tribune, that he began also his first masterpiece, writing on his first masterpiece, which is Animal Farm. Animal Farm will be analyzed in our next video.